This is Swim, Success with Music. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Success with Music. This is Walt. I am your music coach. And again, this is Swim, Success with Music. This is a podcast for singers, songwriters, beat makers, music students. We are about music. We are about the music life. Hey, I appreciate you tuning in to the show as always. And if you were with us for the previous episode, which was episode 40, we were getting into some production related tips, some music production related tips, and some things that I do to enhance some of my recordings and things to further the sound of some of the songs and tracks that I work on. So today we're going to continue in on part 2 of some production related tips for your digital audio workstation. And if you did not hear the previous episode, I encourage you to go back to episode number 40 and take a listen to some of the things that I outlined in that episode. In fact, I went over 3 different concepts that will be useful for you as a music producer. Today, I'm going to go over 3 more different concepts. Now, a word about last week and even this week. Know that when I bring these concepts to you, these things are not rules. They're not laws of music. Music is very subjective, meaning what I think about music will be very different than what you think about music. Music is regarded very differently from region to region, state by state. I mean, even your cousins or your brothers, sisters, girlfriend, whatever, will have differences about what is phenomenal when it comes to music, what is creative when it comes to music. So as I outline some of these tips and as we go through this, don't see this as the final word as to what should be. What I'm hoping to do is simply give you different ways of going about creating and producing your music. And maybe you can take some of these tips and bring them into what you're doing and create your own sound. You may hear something and say, wow, you know what? I actually would do that and maybe add to some of the things that we're going over today. And again, this will help you just develop your own sound by just bringing in some new ideas or maybe just some slightly different ideas. All right, pretty simple stuff. So let's get into our episode for today. All right, so as we did before, I am going to play a track. This is a track that I made, and it's a pretty short track, but I want you to listen to the entire thing, and we're going to go back and pull out 3 different concepts. So let me go ahead and play this track for you, and then we'll come back and discuss our 3 topics. All right, so that is the track here. All right, so let's talk about the first thing. I am a big believer in having a melody in a song. In this particular case, there is a synth that I have that's acting as the melody. Of course, if you're writing lyric-based music, hopefully your voice or your vocal component will offer up some of the major melody components. But there are times in music where you'll have both melody being played by an instrument and also being sung or rapped or whatever, auto-tuned to bring the audience in and give them that infectious tune that will be around with them once the song is over. In this instance, I use, again, a synth for that. So I want to talk about a production related tip that I think will be helpful for you guys, especially those who are dabbling in the world of electronic music. This can apply to rock or anything else. I want to go back here. Let me play the melody line for you, and I'm going to talk about a concept here. I'm going to isolate the melody for you. Here it is. Okay, so that is the melody in this track, and I'll play it in context. So listen to it with the music back in. So the melody here is the most recognizable part, the part that you can walk away humming to, singing to, whistling to, that type of thing. It's the part that you want to be infectious, something that will stay with the listener once the song is off. So that is the melody. Now, here is something I want to bring out for today's episode. I'm going to go in and isolate this synth here and give you some things that I did here with this particular synth. So let me play it one more time by itself, just very quickly. So here's my thought on this. Because this represents the melody line, in my editing process, I actually added a number of layers to my synth sound in this instance to really make sure that the melody being played by the synth is full bodied. So in other words, what I did is, and you may not be able to hear this now, I'll deconstruct this further. I put in multiple layers within this sound in order to make it full, thick, and rich. Here's my main tip. I don't like opening up my digital audio workstation and just selecting a preset or a patch and just playing it in my song. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. It's just a personal preference. Today's episode is me going through what I do for melodies. I like to layer my melodies. I like to add in additional sounds for a couple of reasons. One, that it punches through. And then also I layer my melody sounds because I want it to be unique. There have been instances where I've heard some popular music, as an example, and I'm like, oh, hey, that's a pretty sweet song. And here I am in my studio kind of working, and I'm going through different patches, trying to see what kind of sounds I like. And all of a sudden I come across a sound. I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard this sound before. And come to find out, well, great. This artist, this nationally known artist or globally known artist, they're using patch number 25. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I don't want my music to be replicated that easily. And that's really the point of me mentioning creating your own sound within your digital audio workstation, especially when it comes to something like a melody, because it sticks out a lot. If it's like a synth or a pad in the back, or maybe a snare drum or a kick or whatever, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But when you're dealing with something like a melody that represents the part that's way out front, I try to put a bit more thought into that part of the song. All right, let me show you what I put into this particular melody sound. I have 3 different sounds within this melody. So let me play the first layer for you. Here it is. So that's the first one. I don't know, it's kind of a bell type of sound, and there's some delay or echoey type of qualities to this particular sound. Now, here's the next layer. I'll play this one for you. So that one to me has more of this airy, even slight calliope type of sound to it. That's just kind of how I feel. And also it's panned. So if you happen to be listening to this podcast on in your headphones, you can tell that it's moved over to the right side of your headphones if you're wearing your headphones in the right ear. The sound itself is also stretched out a bit, meaning it has more of a legato type of feel. The release on this particular synth is not very stark. It kind of hangs out there. Let me play it one more time. And also, there is just a slight delay in this particular sound as well. This delay, by the way, is timed to work in tandem with the main project tempo, which happens to be 110. All right, so let me move on to the last layer that I have here. Here it is. Okay, so that to me sounds like more of a string sound. And again, if you're wearing headphones or you're listening on a stereo device, this is moved over to the left, not all the way to the left, just slightly to the left. So just previous to this particular sound, we heard something to the right. This one is to the left. The other one was more kind of stretched out, has this more legato type of feel. This one is more short and to the point. It's more staccato. And again, this is not a law or a rule, but in my mind, it feels like it kind of covers all areas. Stretched out sound, short sounds, on the left, on the right. So this melody altogether really occupies a lot of space. And again, that's really the goal, is to make this sound punch through. Now, when we first start listening to the melody, you probably didn't hear all of that I just described to you. And mind you, these are individual patches that I layered in order to get this particular sound. So let me play it back again, and you're going to hear everything going together. All right, and one more time with the track. Okay, so hopefully you get the point. I like doing things that are not out of the box. I like to create my own sounds if at all possible. It just creates a level of distinction. Are there patches out there that sound very similar to what I use? Of course there is, but you're not going to be able to go to patch number 54 and find this exact sound with all the qualities that I mentioned today. So again, dual purpose, being unique, and along with that, you're also trying to make something that punches through if you're using sounds that are really representing your melody, or the sounds that are really out there creating that distinction for your track. All right, let's move on to the next point. And for this point, I'm going to move further into the track here. Let's go. Let's start right here. All right, let me stop there. I'm going to kind of tie this next point to a new concept here. I like to emphasize, when possible, parts of the melody by having these rhythm accents, if you will. Let me go back and play it, and I'm going to tell you what I'm focused in on here. Here we go. So what I'm focused on, and I want you to focus on here for this part, is the dum bum bum. That first part, bum bum bum, dun 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 dun. I'm using different rhythmic sounds to push that melody on those particular notes. The bum bum bum, dun 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 dun, dun dun dun. So listen to the rhythm, or the drums, or the percussion as we go through this. Take a listen. Do you hear it? Let me isolate my drum kit so you can hear what I'm talking about. Here we go. What I'm doing is using certain sounds to accentuate certain rhythms within the melody. Let me get the melody back in here. So on the first three notes of the melody, I have sounds to accentuate that rhythm for the melody, which is dum bum bum. Let me play it and listen to the rhythm that goes underneath that melody. Here we go. I have a drum kit here that has more of an 808 sound. I have quite a few layers in my drum kit, but I'm going to isolate one here for you. Take a listen. Did you hear that? There's kind of a 808